If Elton John at 74 can get up there and rock on that piano, I can come downstairs and do a podcast and see what's up, And I don't know. I hope that I'm the new Elton John is what I'm trying to say. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. See, I knew I'd get a pop from that. I knew I'd get a pop from that one. Start when I want. Okay. Well, I guess here we go. Right. We're in the midst of rolling. Should I start the clock? The timer's not rolling. Not that that's a big deal. Not that it's a big deal. I can handle it without a timer. But yeah, this is it, guys. Welcome. This is my first solo podcast. Don't be fooled, though. I'm not alone. My boy James is on the other side there. He can't see him, but I can see him. Thank God, because if I was doing this by myself, I just couldn't do it. It's crazy. Like, think about this. I'm looking at you in this camera, and like I just feel incredibly exposed right now. So thanks, James. Yeah, but it's fun. It's cool. I'm excited. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time, and just what you guys want to see. Another white guy with privilege in a podcast. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully, see, guy popped him already. That's great. Hopefully I have some perspective or something that is like worthwhile, right? Like I have some sort of viewpoint that is worth having, being off, how old am I? 50 years old right now, over the hill, I'm only 35, which, I mean, you're practically dead in this day and age if you're 35 years old, right? I mean, if you're 20 and under, then you're good to go. That's like where it's at. But me, 35. So hopefully you'll stick around for a few minutes, And now with, Joe Rogan falling apart, there's always room for somebody new at the top, right? So Spotify, just saying, I know I'm fresh, but just, maybe you want to take a chance, Anyways, yeah, so this is it, man. This is my dungeon, I call it. But as we've discussed, dungeon's not really a great word because, like torture and shit. And that doesn't really happen down here. I mean, it's more self-flagellation than like torturing other people. But like still, it's like not really you don't really want that torture feel. But, so maybe you guys can help me come up with a name at some point. You know what I mean? It'll never be as good as the Never Ending Becoming, but we'll maybe get close to that, right? But yeah, like this is it. I don't know. I got like things I kind of want to talk about, things like a little rap session. But it's gonna be interesting because like I'm just gonna have to keep talking, right? Like, and it's much easier, I'm sure if you've watched this, you've watched the Never Ending Becoming a couple of times, at least a couple minutes of it. I'd be shocked as hell if you came specifically for me right now. That would just be insane. But it's different when you have somebody to like kick it back to and kick it back to you. It's another thing entirely to just go and have that unfettered, just being able to platform. I have an unfettered platform right now to just say whatever the fuck I want. And hopefully I won't say anything racist or anything like that, right? Because or what's it like like stupid. I don't, cancel culture right now is in full effect, right? And so I don't want to screw it up on the first one, you know what I mean? But who knows? I probably will. I'll probably say something stupid, right? Because that's what people do, is say stupid things, right? And then we record them now because that's like the way of it, right? You want to save it for posterity, right? But again, this is just me doing this, right? So, yeah, man, we're in my house, which is another whole experience too. Like I said, the dungeon, this is my basement. I feel so exposed down here right now. It's unbelievable. That's why it took so long to do because, we wanted to do it down here and it's like, putting yourself out there. I don't know if you guys, it's hard sometimes to do that, right? Like, but it's all about trying to connect with people, right? That's what this goal is, right? Hopefully I can connect with somebody and they can get something fun out of this and listen to me, hopefully joke around and have a good time. But ultimately, it's like, connection, right? So hopefully showing you guys this and exposing my nerd penis. You guys, we were making expose jokes earlier. But yeah, it's like, whipping it out in front of everybody, right? So, showing my nerdness and the sanctum and my battle station and all this, we connect more. We connect more, right? And yeah, actually, that's what I'll start with. Speaking of connecting and stuff, so I don't know if you know, I'm a huge Star Trek fan, right? That's like my jam. I love Star Trek. I've loved Star Trek since I was a kid, right? Infinite diversity and infinite possibilities, or something like that. That's like the Vulcan term, right? It's always an incredibly hopeful experience watching Star Trek, right? Because we've survived climate change, we've survived nuclear holocaust, we've survived all of this horrible scarcity in our life, and we're now in the 25th century, successful, and kids banging around. See them in the house, you can hear the kids, these monsters upstairs. They're not monsters, I'm just kidding. but it's like this hopeful and potential, right? And connecting to the universe on a deeper level, right? That's Star Trek to me, right? And a galaxy universe full of course humanoids, but different species, and it's all about connecting and coming to a newer, better understanding and all that stuff. And I love it, right? And there's what they call New Trek, right? There's a new Star Trek shows out there, and it's really interesting because it's like the older shows were very I don't want to say vanilla, but it was like a family oriented thing. They were very it was syndicated television back then. It was one of the first syndicated shows. It wasn't made for like a network television. It was made on a studio lot, and then they sold it to other stations so that they would have material, right? So it wasn't like it was his own thing. It was Paramount, I believe. Paramount started it, right? And so it was the first syndicated one of the first syndicated shows, and it was hugely successful, right? Which was shocking because it had a bald English guy as like the captain, right? Which is totally interesting to me. But English guys sell. I'm just saying, English guys sell. Some Americans with the accent just love it. I do. It's great. Anyways, I just think it's so interesting nowadays because now with Star Trek, the fandom is so different from what it used to be. It's so intense, like the new Star Trek is really cool and interesting, and they have some really cool concepts, and the effects and the acting and the everything putting in together is incredible, right? The production values are just out of control, out of this world. But it's great. I love it. But sometimes there's things you don't like, and that's with anything. Criticizing culture is okay, right? You can love a thing and still criticize it, right? And there's this the one specific thing that I've been thinking about lately is there's swearing in this new Star Trek, right? Which okay, fine, fuck, right? Shit, piss, fuck, whatever. It swears, it's you, and I've actually was explaining this to my daughter who is involved in the story. You give words power, right? Words are words, and they're just a word, but you give them the power of what they mean, So it's not a big deal to say the F word, but it's also it's still a word, right? It's power, right? But it's always sometimes surprising when you don't expect a swear word in a thing, right? And I've let my daughter watch old Next Generation and Deep Space Nine episodes, and she's not super into it. It's boring, and they talk and whatever. It's not her bag, right? But she was really wanted to see the new Star Trek Discovery because it's got a female captain. It's very female-centric, which is pretty cool, honestly. I don't hate it. I know that there's a lot of older Star Trek fans who don't like how feminist is not the right word, but it's become very woman-focused, which is awesome, right? It's the 25th century. We should move on besides super-duper regimented gender roles, right? Women can be captains or first officers or whatever. It's great. And so she really wanted to watch it, and I was like, it's a little mature, right? It's dealing with concepts and stuff that are a little too, a little adult. But I was like, okay, I'll let you watch an episode, right? And I can't remember what episode it was, but it was legitimately the first episode that they swore. And I was like, what? It was, and I can't remember the line exactly, but if somebody's a Star Trek fan out there and knows what I'm talking about, but they are working on some mycelial network, which is this, I'm not going to get into it. It's really high concept, but they can basically teleport from one part of the universe to another part of the universe. And one of the character goes, that's fucking cool. And then she goes, oh. And then I was like, oh. And then the guy's like, no, that's okay. Science is fucking cool. Okay? Science is fucking cool. Yes, of course, science is fucking cool. But the idea that Star Trek needs to say the F word was just why? Why do they need to say the F word? To me, it felt I don't know, kind of shocky, shock value, look at how modern we are now. We say the F word, because Star Trek, back in the day, Gene Roddenberry did not want to have conflict with the crew members because they were a utopian society. So you wouldn't fight with crew members. The deal with the Star Trek, the original series, for those of you who don't know, it was the idea was it was a completely diverse cast. The communications officer is black. The security officer was a Russian guy, this was during the height of the Cold War. The con officer was a Japanese guy, George Takei. It was just so diverse, and the idea was that this would be a perfect union of people, and they wouldn't fight amongst just themselves. They were beyond that stuff. And so now Star Trek is kind of going against that. They're not really talking about it being utopian. They're very normal people, which is fine because people are people. And I do also enjoy the idea that in the 25th century, people are still people, right? But I also think in the 25th century, you're probably not saying the F word anymore, right? Like you've maybe have other more interesting swear words to say, right? And I don't know. I just felt like it was a bit lazy. I don't know. And you could disagree with me. That's totally fine. But my problem was I put this opinion out online. You know, I commented on something. I said, it's a little lazy. I'm not really a fan of it. You cannot criticize new Trek anymore. There's a rabid fan base out there that is adverse to all criticism, you know? Like it's become like their safe space, which is like interesting concept to me. And I get it because Star Trek right now is really trying to be like diverse, you know? They have a non-binary character, they have a trans character, they have gay, like one of the main couples is a gay couple, right? And you know, my daughter was watching that episode, and it was the first episode where they showed them like together and they're brushing their teeth together, right? And my daughter like doesn't really understand the concept yet. Like, you know, she knows like about, you know, homosexuality and stuff, but she'd never really been exposed to that. So when they're brushing their teeth together, she goes, "Oh, I get it. They're best friends. Brothers from another mother." And I just kind of laughed, you know, because that was such like a childlike answer, right? Like, oh, of course they're best friends, blah blah blah, no big deal. But it was interesting, you know, that we're talking about this, that I got my daughter talking about this from Star Trek, you know what I mean? And that's all fine and it's well and good, and I'm glad that there's representation. But that doesn't mean there can't be criticism of this stuff, right? Like it doesn't mean you can't love a thing but also like criticize it, you know? I feel like we're getting away from that. Like if you love something, it's like you have to love it unconditionally. And if you don't love it unconditionally, you don't really love it after all. And that there's so many things like that now, you know? It's like the fan bases of these properties, and like you can't criticize it, you know? Look at Star Wars. Oh man, I didn't even have that on my list. But look at Star Wars. There's a subreddit. I don't know if people use Reddit. It's very popular. I'm sure you've heard of it. But it's like a forum, a message board. And one of the forums is called Saltier Than Crait. And Crait is the planet in The Last Jedi, and it's a salt planet, right? And so it was like, the idea was everyone thought it was snow, but it wasn't, it was salt, right? So it's all about how salty these older Star Wars fans are about all the new sequel trilogy. And there is some very toxic stuff on there, you know, of like people like just going at it, you know, and it's like, it's completely divided, you know, Star Wars, you know, you can't like it all. You have to pick and choose. And I just think that's such a backwards thought. You can criticize something and still like the thing, and you don't have to like completely destroy it. You know what I mean? I guess I'm arguing for a different thing because, you know, the Salty Than Crait is criticism, but I feel like it's extreme criticism. You know, I'd like to be a little bit more balanced. You know what I mean? I guess that's my perspective. That's where I'm trying to come from, right? I want to be more in the center. You know, I want to be more in the middle. You know what I mean? And I just feel like, man, like we look at social media and just content in general, and it's like, you know, it's like either this side or this side. And I feel like it's really wrecking a lot of things, man, because like if you talk to people, like regular people, they're in the center. They're not one direction or another, because most of the time you can get people to agree on things, you know, like it's crazy. But then you go start nitty gritty and it's like, well, flat earth. And it's like, whoa, slow down. You know, it's like there is a middle ground for a lot of things, you know? And I guess that's what I'm trying to talk about Star Trek. I don't know. I'm wandering here. Forgive me. It's like, that's just kind of stream of consciousness. I don't know if you guys knew this, but this is new for me. This is totally brand new. And it's even crazier because I said I was going to do a half an hour, and I've already done almost 14 minutes. What the fuck? What the fuck? And I was telling James, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can talk for an hour. But apparently I can, I guess. And hopefully it's like somebody's watching this and like, this guy's a fucking idiot. Like, what is he even talking about? And so hopefully it's like something relevant, you know, like something, I don't know. You know what? That's for you to decide. It's not for me to decide. You know, it's for you to decide. And then if you turn it off, you turn it off. Go fuck yourself. I'm just kidding. But speaking of go fuck yourself, you know, and it's a podcast and all this stuff, you know, what's really on my mind is, and obviously this is a podcast, and if you have a podcast, you have to mention Joe Rogan, because he is, you know, he birthed podcasts from his loins, you know what I mean? Like he like, you know, what was it in Rome? Rome was created by the two wolves. Well, podcasts were birthed by Joe Rogan. You know, before Rogan, there was no such thing as a podcast. Never mind. That's bullshit. Whatever. I created a podcast. I remember in high school, I was doing podcasts in high school, and that was in 2000, 4 or 5, I was doing it. And then it was like, whatever. You do it on GarageBand, you record it and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, you're doing podcasts. But, you know, I won't get credit for creating podcasts. That's fine, you know. Any hoozle. Rogan, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. He's such a hotbed for this exact point. You know what I mean? He's become a cipher for society now. You either are like pro Joe Rogan, which means you're conservative, and you're for misinformation, or you're against him and you're totally liberal and pro freedom and democracy. It's like what? And this guy is like, he's just like a comedian. You know what I mean? He's a comedian. And he just is like, you know what? I want to have these long form conversations with interesting people. And you know what? A lot of people like that, right? A lot of people like long form conversations, you know? Like interviews are cool, but when you can get like deep dive with somebody and really like get in there and like discuss things, that's fascinating. You know what I mean? He had great interviews with Bernie Sanders and Andrew Yang and even like Jordan Peterson, who's a guy I don't agree with, but like it was interesting listening to him. You know what I mean? Getting the multiple sides of the situation. And now he's come under fire because he's had these like other doctors who are not mainstream doctors. They have other ideas about COVID and all that stuff. And again, I'm not like pro misinformation or all that shit, but like it's interesting now because he has $100 million on this larger platform. More people are coming after him hard. You know, they're coming after him really hard. So that's why I'm hoping this podcast only has like 150 people watching it, because if it gets bigger than that, I am fucked. You know, like there's no way. You can't even handle it. You can't handle it. He's apologizing like every other day for stuff he said. You know what I mean? And like that's the thing. He's like not a bad guy. He's trying to grow and be like, hey, like I'm sorry for things that I said 10 years ago when there was only like 5,000 people listening to the show and I was a comedian making bad, horrible jokes, you know? And now he's like suffering the consequences for it. And again, it's not like he should say racist shit, you know? It's not like you should say racist shit. But like, I'll be honest, like I'm a human. I've said racist shit before in the past, you know? And I'm sure you watching this, you've thought or had fucking racist comments because like, unfortunately, that's like humans. Humans are terribly flawed things. We're terribly flawed, you know? We have a lot of just baggage, you know? Think about all the baggage you have in your head right now and think about that 8 billion times over because everyone's got fucking problems and issues and that kind of thing. And so for like this like vocal minority of people to really just jump on this is like crazy, but I get it because the world is a pendulum, right? There's pendulum and like the pendulum's swinging in one direction. And for a long time, again, I'm a white guy talking about this. So it's not like I'm a person of color or that kind of thing who had to deal with like rampant discrimination all my life or that kind of thing. You know, I'm just looking at it from a person who's seen some stuff in my life. You know what I mean? Again, trying to get in the center of this because I don't feel like most of humanity feels that way, you know? But like you have social media really inflating these things to the point where it's like, it's so big and they're coming for him and it's like crazy. You know, I just feel like there needs to be like a middle ground, you know, and censoring him and censoring free speech is like a really slippery slope for me. You know, it's a really scary thing. You know, you can't see it, but behind me, there's tons of bookshelves and I have several shelves full of comedians because I love comedy because I think that is some of the highest form of art is comedy, is making people laugh and dissecting the world through the lens of humor. You know what I mean? I think humor is a really good way of like incepting people. Making people laugh about a thing is so disarming and you can really move things with that, you know? And I think like to start censoring comedians and conversations because you don't like what they have to say or you're afraid of what they have to say, that's like a pretty scary thing, you know? And so it's like, I keep thinking, I'm comparing it to back when the ACLU defended the Nazis in Skokie, right? There was a Nazi rally in Skokie, which is a suburb that's very close to over here. They wanted to have a rally in Skokie, which is a really high Jewish population. And Skokie was like, nope, you can't march here, blah, 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 blah. But it was like a free speech issue, right? Like I hate Nazis. I'm not like a pro-Nazi guy, but like, fine, do your march. This is America. You know what I mean? We are a free country, and you have rights. It's indelible rights. So like honestly, I think Joe Rogan has the right to use his platform kind of however he feels. And like when you censor somebody, it's similar to book burning, with this whole mouse situation, right? They're trying to ban mouse. I know I'm going all over the place, guys. Forgive me. This is my first time, so I have a lot of stream of consciousness here. But in Tennessee, they're banning the book Mouse, which is a really great graphic novel that I think I have on one of these shelves, and it's about the Holocaust, and they're mice, and they're experiencing the Holocaust. And again, it's a really interesting way to like incept the idea of like a Holocaust and a genocide into like not kids, but in a way that is palatable and is a bit more, you're able to, just like Star Trek, you can talk about a concept that's so far away, but it's an analogy for the present, and you're like, oh, that makes sense now, And I thought Mouse was a great way to talk about that, And they're banning it in Tennessee, and it's interesting because now Mouse is the #1 selling book on Amazon, right? So you ban something and you censor something, and it's like you give it more power, right? So instead of just like kind of dismissing Rogan and dismissing these people that he has on there, we're like inflaming it. We are like driving people to see this misinformation. We are driving people to these other sources of like negativity, right? I just feel like it's very strange to me that it's like not something people realize. Like we're adding fuel to this fire. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I guess that's the media at large, right? We want this culture to be constantly terrified and afraid because at any moment it can collapse, right? Otherwise, you're not going to watch the 24-hour news cycle, right? You're not going to be watching it or conflating it. Now you can hear my kids, and this is terrible. No, I'm just kidding. I love my kids. It's man, it's interesting. That's why I feel like I feel the way I do about a lot of things is because of them. Eventually they're going to be here. Hopefully they make it to 35, and the republic doesn't collapse in the next 10 years. But we'll see. It's dependent on the next couple elections, right? I don't know. But I worry about the future that they're going to live in, when everything's online and everything's on Twitter, and you are capitulating to like faceless people that are saying things to you about killing yourself and blah 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 blah, and you can't have an opinion about Star Trek. You don't love Star Trek. They can swear and it's the best thing ever. It's like, guys, like I don't know about that, and they're gonna grow up in a world where it's I don't know, but I think a lot of it is too, the world is changing so much and so fast. It's sometimes hard to get a handle on it. You know what I mean? So that's also why I'm doing it. So hopefully this can help me get a handle on what's happening in society. And maybe you get a handle better on what's happening in society through the lens of me. I don't know. But yeah, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Actually, I said I would tell a funny story about my kids, right? And since I'm talking about them, right? So horrible story. Last week, I got pink eye. Worst thing in the world, right? Pink eye. It's disgusting. I feel like even saying it makes me disgusted, right? Because you know what it is. It's fecal matter in your eyes or something like that, right? Isn't that what it is? And it is. For me, that's exactly what it was. So my son, he's potty training right now, and we got a little commode for him, because he's little. He can't get on the potty. So, he takes shits and pisses in the little commode, right? Whatever. And then you dump it into the toilet, right? I'm in a rush trying to do everything, right? I'm super dad. Just kidding. But I'm dumping the stuff in the toilet, right? And for some reason, I'm not paying attention, and I'm doing it quick, and it splashes me right in the eye. And I'm like, great. A little shit piss water right in my eye, right? And I wash it out. I rinse it out. But I know it's coming, right? I know it's coming. So flash forward a couple days, I wake up really late. I slept really late, and I had to go to work, right? And I wake up, and my eye is like swollen shut and crusty, and I'm like, because I know what it is. I'm contaminated now. I'm a filthy scumbag now. I have pink eye. That's what it feels like, And I got drops. I had to miss work. It was a whole situation, but. The moral of the story is, this is the moral. This is why I'm telling the story. Ultimately, don't have kids. That's the moral of the story. Don't have kids, because if you have kids, you're going to get pink eye. And if you don't have kids, you won't get pink eye. That's it. That's my pink eye story. It's harder too, because I can't hear anybody laughing. So if somebody's at home laughing, please comment LOL, because otherwise it's just like, it's weird, dead ears here. James is smiling, but he's not laughing. He's not laughing because he probably heard the story, so he's not super into it. But it's interesting. Just speaking to a camera, hoping that it's connecting, hoping that you're getting something out of this, you know. But yeah, let's see. What else I got on my list to talk about? Format, engagement, kids pink eye. See, I literally have it, kids pink eye. Clem's basketball. Oh, she was playing basketball too the other day, but she wasn't very good at it. It's very funny. You know, she picks and chooses when she wants to put effort into things, you know. Sometimes she really wants to play and sometimes she doesn't want to play, you know. We were watching her. It was just really silly. Let's see. What else do I got over here? Podcasting. Oh, well, one of the inspirations for doing this podcast, right? So last night I got to go to a concert of one of my favorite dudes, right? Elton John. I got to see Elton John last night, right? Pretty cool experience, you know. And it was really cool because, you know, you're watching him up there in front of like thousands and thousands of people. And man, knew I was going to do this thing today, but I was incredibly apprehensive and nervous about it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like I said, you're putting yourself out there. You're being exposed. Like, people are going to watch this and have feelings and opinions about it. And like, there might not be good, you know, and you're putting yourself out there to the culture, right? And it's a pretty toxic culture at times. So it's intimidating as shit, right? But like going to this concert and like experiencing this guy is like, it was very filling, you know. It was very filling because like, it's incredible to like experience a sea of humanity all in a common goal, all experiencing joy from one person playing music and songs and stuff like that. And it was like really inspiring, right? Like, you're like, man, maybe, you know, maybe I can, you know, not fucking sell out United Center, but, you know, maybe I can get a couple dozen people who are like, you know, inspired by me, right? Oh God, it's so egotistical even saying it. But like, you know, it's just, you have to start somewhere, you know what I mean? And I realize he's 74. He's been doing this for so long. But he started somewhere. I mean, he started when he was really young, you know, and I'm, like I said, a dinosaur at 50 years old. But like, you know, he started somewhere and now he's where he is in front of all these people. And I thought, you know what? Fuck it, let's try it. Let's see what this is all about, right? If Elton John at 74 can get up there and rock on that piano, I can come downstairs and do a podcast and see what's up, you know? And I don't know. I hope that I'm the new Elton John is what I'm trying to say. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. See, I knew I'd get a pop from that. I knew I'd get a pop from that one. No, but you know, it's like, it's just, I don't know, when you're inspired by people and you want to, you know, contribute back to society in some way, you know, that's just kind of how I feel, you know. I don't know how else to do it. You know what I mean? I don't know how else to contribute, you know, because I'm not a stand-up comedian. I wish I was a stand-up comedian, you know what I mean? But I'm just not that funny. I can't do it like that, you know. Again, but maybe that's not the thing, you know. I'm looking at it the wrong way. It's about the work you put in. You know, if I got up on stage and started putting the work in and crafting jokes, you know, who knows what's going to happen. But instead, I'm going to start crafting a podcast, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start trying to talk to you guys and see what you guys have to say about all this stuff. And like, hopefully, you know, you watch it and then you want to engage and like talk to me and like, you know, I said I wasn't going to read the comments when I first started it, but I know I'm going to because I want to know. I want to fucking know, you know. And I want to feel the hate, you know, because hate's inspiring too sometimes. And it's like, you know, oh yeah, you hate me? You hate me? Yeah, well, I'm going to do 10 more episodes, motherfucker. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, like, I'm just very curious, you know. I'm curious about the world and I want to like talk about it, you know. Anyways, let's see what we got going here. Comics. Oh man, I don't know if you'd see, I got a lot of comic books around here. That's a big way I look at the world through fucking comic books, which I feel like gives me a sense of optimism I think a lot of people don't have, you know, because comic books are full of colorful characters and larger than life archetypes and just like crazy, you know what I mean? It's modern mythology, right? Modern mythology. You know, Superman is equivalent to so many figures in myth. You know what I mean? He's our new modern myth, right? Batman. Look at Batman. Like it's you know, and Spider-Man. Man, look at Spider-Man. Look at how big Spider-Man was this last November. No Way Home. Like it's like what, the 5th highest grossing movie of all time now. It's incredible how the appetite for superheroes right now. You know. It's funny because I've always been into superheroes for my whole life. And, you know, I remember going to Gulf Mill, right, which is a mall nearby, and there was a comic book store, and I would go and buy Ultimate Spider-Man, and I would sit in the cafeteria or the thing and eat my food, and I would read it alone by myself because, it's nerdy to read comic books, right? Nobody in high school was like super into comic books. They graphic novels just started to gain traction, right? But it wasn't like I wasn't bragging to all my friends that I was reading comic books. Like nobody in high school knew how much I would love comic books. I felt like I was like almost ashamed of it. It was like secret time. And then to like go and experience in a movie theater an incredibly like multiverse travel, multiple Spider-Man, multiple villains, one of the most high concept comic book movies of all time. And I'm sitting in a theater with like 50 people, and we're all experiencing this moment together, and everyone's loving it. It was very surreal for me, man. It was very surreal for me, like how far we've come with this stuff, And I just appreciate the hell out of it. You know what I mean? I appreciate the hell out of it. It's like there's such an appetite for it, and there's people complain. Again, people complain about everything, right? Like, oh, there's too many superhero movies, blah 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 blah. I don't know if you guys know, but in like the 40s and 50s and 60s. Nothing but Westerns. That's all there was, Westerns. Like, it was incredible how much genre content was Western. And that was what the appetite was for people. And eventually it kind of dwindled, and now we get a Western every couple of years, good Westerns, But, like, that's just how the culture is. Right now, people want superheroes. There's so much misery and sadness and the 24-hour news cycle inundating you with, like, toxicity. People want to believe in heroes. People want to believe in Superman and Spider-Man, and that as horrible as things are for you, you can come out the other side a better, bigger hero. You know what I mean? And I love that idea. I love the idea that like we as humans, like I said, are flawed, terrible, and toxic. But ultimately there's like a lot of good in us, right? There's a lot of good and beauty in us. And hopefully that this podcast I can help, show my beauty, how beautiful I am by exposing my large nerd penis. Actually, it's been about 31 minutes. I'm sure you can look down at the little timer on YouTube and tell. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I don't wanna overstay my welcome here on this first podcast. So hopefully you get a little taste, and maybe you come back, because that was a fast half. I don't know about for you, but that was a fast half hour. And I'm sure your brain's a little confused, because my brain's a little confused, because I'm all over the place talking about Star Trek, talking about Joe Rogan, talking about freaking comic books. This is an ADD brain, so hopefully you can follow along with me. And like I said, if people are watching this and you're interested, drop a comment. Tell me what you want to talk about. Tell me what you want to hear me say. If you don't want to hear me say, maybe I won't speak for half an hour and you just want to look at my beautiful face. I'm just kidding. You don't want to do that. But like, I would be real happy if there was some engagement, but you never know. I'm not expecting much, but yeah. Anyways, yeah, I think that's it, guys. I hope you guys have a rest of a great life. What's the saying? I hope you have a great day, unless you have other plans. Hey.